Viewer discretion is advised.
The Vegas Golden Knights. Don't think you are exempt from the roast, new kids. You've lost a few games so far. And your success will probably somehow hurt you in player development or something. Oh wait, I have something for this. Oh, the whole Shipashoff disaster. What a cluster F. And Foley is a military brat whose dad served in the Air Force and grew up in Ottawa as his dad was stationed there. Foley would graduate from West Point and served as an officer in both the Army and the Air Force. He played the stock market in his spare time, and after serving, he became a lawyer and then a fund manager. He now owns wineries, golf courses, ski resorts, steakhouses, and already owns the Kings and the Sharks.
The glitz and glam of Las Vegas doesn't stay outside of T-Mobile Arena, as the Golden Knights showed us you don't want to miss the pre-game ceremonies. There is an actual nightclub in the arena where you can party for no additional charge, which is rare in Vegas. There is a replica medieval castle too. Outside features a huge video board and designated area for tailgating. Of course, the product on the ice is pretty darn good too. The most successful first-year expansion team ever. A franchise known for its failure, 0 Stanley Cups so far, caught a blowout last year, their second 6-goal defeat in the team's history. Mark Jankowski of the Flames potted 4 goals, 2 on even strength, 1 on the power play, and 1 shorthanded. The Flower got ran after 2 periods, as he only made 12 saves on 18 shots. What despicable ineptness Vegas has been. One of the best debuts in the league ever may have been helped with good old steroids and a rigged expansion draft. In 2018, Nate Eat Schmidt was popped for a 20-game suspension and denied the allegations of having a PED in his system, but he served the suspension anyways. 13 months later, teammate Valentin Zykov got a 20-game ban for the exact same violation. Whoopsie! Not to be confused with another Chance that absolutely loves hockey.
Let's do that hockey.
This mascot looks like the thing had sex with the lizard, and here we are. The plush Gila monster hangs around in his fortress at T-Mobile, presumably to tell you your princess is in another castle. Chance was once made into a balloon Chance where he looks like he contracted face herp. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except the face herp.
227 days after their first regular season game in franchise history, the Vegas Golden Knights are headed to the Stanley Cup Final.
With these words, an unprecedented phenomenon had become reality. Expansion teams aren't supposed to make the Stanley Cup Final, yet history was made. The Vegas Golden Knights forged their own path, overcame all adversity, went through nearly every goaltender in their system, and became the greatest story in NHL history. Even if they lost in the finals, they would be beloved by the hockey world, and their tale would be told for generations. But little did we know at the time an uncomfortable truth was bubbling beneath the surface. Something sinister crept into the picture. A revelation that would not only shake the core of the Golden Knights, but consume the franchise whole. It took many years to emerge, but the realities of this run have become apparent. This cup run wasn't the divine blessing it was thought to be. It was a curse. And I know that sounds insane to think, but to come to this conclusion, you have to look at things carefully. You have to go back to when it all started in the summer of 2017. There's a shit ton of historical revisionism about their expansion draft. Many jealous fan bases, particularly in Canada, felt that Vegas had a vastly unfair advantage. They were gifted a cup-contending team off the bat. They had undeservedly stepped ahead of teams that had long deserved a shot before them. However, this is complete fiction. Any major hockey magazine pundit and even executives during that time had a unanimous consensus. The Golden Knights were going to be fucking terrible. The expansion draft had some solid pieces given to Vegas, but most of them were either role players, unproven prospects, or bad contracts eaten in order to acquire futures. Selections such as James Neal, David Perron, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and more were supposed to be trade deadline fodder for other teams. They already did it with picks like Mark Mathod and David Schlemko. Even their owner had come out and all but said they expected nothing in their first year. It was supposed to be a time where they bring fans to the arena as a novelty, to simply bring legitimacy to Las Vegas as a city. The plan originally was to allow the picks and prospects they selected to develop, make the playoffs by year 3, and then emerge as a legitimate cup contender by year 5 or 6 of their existence. I.e., now. So what changed that plan? That part is obvious to anyone who's followed the league. They started winning. They couldn't be stopped. They won so much that even the masterminds behind their planning were stunned by it. An infant squad did what was unimaginable 6 months earlier. They bought at the deadline. Vegas went after a big piece in Tomáš Tatar. Despite their modest approach, it could not be denied that the Golden Knights had found something special. With a combination of careless errors by other GMs and incredible emergences from those thought to be roster filler, Vegas made it all the way to the Cup Finals before they were stopped. They had hit the jackpot on their first trip to the casino. Think of the feelings the Knights would have experienced. Euphoria, jubilation. They nearly got to the top of the mountain on their first try. It was a good situation. Perhaps too good to be true. George McPhee went through years of perpetual failure with the Washington Capitals, so having him at the helm could hopefully ground them from getting ahead of themselves. But even then, their inner conscience serenades them of the glories to come. You can't just cash out after the first win. You're in Vegas, baby. Nobody likes a quitter. You have to go for the main prize. Nothing else will suffice. Their unprecedented run rapidly accelerated their window. They got to what they hoped would be a reality by year 6 on their first go. Vegas had to go all in, and they had to correct their past mistakes. That included Tomáš Tatar. The Knights paid a premium to get him, but he failed to mesh with the scheme they were running. But like all things in Las Vegas, you don't just cut your losses, you double down. Montreal had a sexy offering available for the taking in Max Pacioretty. The Golden Misfits needed someone golden to show them the way to glory. And it was a way to get out of the Tatar experiment. The deed was done. The transformation from misfits to juggernaut was underway. They had plenty of futures. Losing a top prospect in Nick Suzuki sucks, but you have to pay to play at the high-stakes table. In hindsight, Vegas traded the wrong prospect. They favored Cody Glass over Suzuki, and it turned out to cause misfortune in the long run. Glass never developed his plan. He was cast off to Nashville in 2021 after stalling out in the team system. It's a price all teams regrettably pay, but a loss like his isn't important. Relentless adding for an all-in push does. Paul Stastny, a strong top 6 center, snatched up from the clutches of free agency, but the hunger still remains. The target is in their sights. Ottawa is having themselves a fire sale, and Mark Stone is the heart and soul captain that this franchise desperately needs. Players of his caliber don't come on the market often. They needed to pounce, and that they did. The price was depressed, but still very rich for the blood. The extension he immediately inked after the fact was even richer. The Golden Knights were no longer the surprise that many were endeared to. They were a legitimate cup contender. Vegas hadn't achieved the sweltering highs they experienced in their first foray, but expectations were all the same. Get to the cup, by any means necessary. San Jose was merely a bump in the road that had to be avoided along the way. The 3-1 series lead reinforced that thinking, but then something happened. They couldn't finish them off. Losing in Game 5 was fair enough. They were on the road and the Sharks had their backs to the wall, but how do you explain Game 6? They were completely dominating possession and offensive categories well into overtime. However, this cup contender couldn't solve Martin Jones's net-minding labyrinth. And then Marc-Andre Fleury let up a soft-serve goal to cause everyone within a 10-mile radius to break things, including their spirits. But this was nothing in comparison to Game 7. Things were good at first. Vegas had strangled the daylights out of San Jose. When the lead rose to 3, you could hear a pin drop at SAP Center. The Sharks were dead to rights. But then, a fatal blow.
Face-off, one back to Burns. Oh, Pavelski was dropped.
This moment broke the Golden Knights. Joe Pavelski's horrifying injury is still argued about in Las Vegas. Pavelski tripped on himself, they'll cry. The NHL conspired to rob us of a cup run. That's nice they still actively deny any responsibility for it, but how do you explain giving up 4 power play goals in a 5-minute major? The whole fucking team collapsed, and it was their own goddamn fault for it. Even as they somehow got it to overtime, you knew it was a matter of time before the whining would commence. And after the joke was complete, it came from the players themselves. Pretty rich of them to complain about a so-called questionable call when they benefited from the same damn shit earlier in the series. But they don't want to hear about that. It's from here on out that the conscience that was bugging them earlier goes into overdrive. So you lost on a hand that you thought you couldn't lose. That's Vegas for you. You win some, you lose more. Don't give up now. You're so close to the grand prize. All you have to do is keep playing. And play they did. However, a simple hunger would slowly transform into outright desperation. Vegas has been in some form of cap hell for the past 3 seasons. To be fair, the cap has been flattened due to elements out of their control, but they pushed themselves into hell in a handbasket. It started out small. Re-signing Wild Bill was absolutely justified for what he brought to the table. The extension was as massively handsome as Carlson is, but they had to use Eric Hall and Colin Miller as collateral. Far from major losses, so it was acceptable. Where it really starts to go south? Think of Gerard Gallant, their first and only head coach in their young existence. He had been excellent for them, but the past is the past. In January of 2020, they were sputtering. They had lost 4 games in a row in 7 of 12. Sorry, Gerard, nothing personal, but business is business. You know the rules of the game. What was more stunning than the sudden firing was who they hired to replace him. Peter DeBoer. Sure, you're worried about the team regressing under Gallant, but to bring in him? Anyone who's seen him coach in San Jose knows his MO. He'll get your team to the playoffs when you have talent. He will not win you a championship. He's too stubborn with his tactics and is consistently outfoxed by the elite coaches come playoff time. Sharks fans celebrated Vegas' sudden shift away from what made them great. They had all but signed their death warrant. The Golden Knights would suffer a torture that no mortal man should endure. To be great, to be a team that should achieve greatness, but consistently get in their own way. Nothing was ever enough. They may have Marc-Andre Fleury, doesn't matter. Robin Lehner is available for the cheap and they'll take him on. Same goes for Alec Martinez from LA. Things are becoming very clear. Veil of lovable underdog was fading. In its wake is a team of entitlement and arrogance, a team with a superiority complex, one accused of outright betrayal, and one that can't get past out opponents that they should easily beat on paper. This time it was Dallas. A supposedly high-flying offensive attack got clamped and put to sleep. All the hubris in the world couldn't get them back to the championship, but they can at least call this one excusable. The pandemic fucked everything up. Everything was borked. But you know what isn't? Going for more big pieces. More. Doesn't matter who, they just need names and star power. They may have little use for Robin Lehner with Marc-Andre being the headliner, but he's getting old in the tooth. A 5x5 was Robin's, but that isn't the main prize. Think defender. A core anchoring defender. Alex Petrangelos don't grow on trees either. While everyone else is afraid of fucking themselves with large contracts due to an uncertain situation, Vegas knows how to strike. They gave him term and AAV when no one else dared to go that far. The current core may bitch up a storm and thrust the team right back into cap hell, but sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Paul Stastny and Nate Schmidt are yesterday's news. No one should be surprised by Knights being chewed up and thrown out. It happened with Vadim Shipachyov a month into their first season. He struggled to adapt to the North American game, and he did handle things poorly, but this was absolutely avoidable. Vegas fucked up by failing to trade another defenseman or two before the season. They stashed 9 of them on the roster. So Shipachyov was waived to keep Jason Garrison and Griffin Reinhart, who were both waived themselves about 2 weeks later. Feeling betrayed, Vadim abandoned his contract, left the team, and has never returned to North America. He never got much of a chance. And he wasn't an outlier. He was the canary in the coal mine. The true betrayal would begin after they failed again.
Racing as Anderson got a piece of that. Scores! Josh Anderson! And Fleury then plays it!
Marc-Andre Fleury is a strange cat. He's capable of elite play and can carry a team by himself, then lets up goals that baffle the mind. It hurt Vegas in another crucial situation. They get past a contender in Colorado, but shit the bed against Montreal? The Habs? A team the Knights should have crushed on paper? Don't say it's because of DeBoer's stubborn tactics. The real man to blame is Fleury. They need to send a message. No one is safe. Marc-Andre got absolutely fucked over by Vegas. It wasn't that they traded him in general, it was how they did it. They shipped him off to a team he had little interest in joining for nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just roster filler to make sure the numbers added up. Fleury himself found out about the trade on fucking Twitter. He nearly retired because of it. I know sport is cruel, but this man was the face of your franchise since its inception. The man won the goddamn Vezina the previous season. He still had mileage in the tank, yet you discarded him like he was an old cum rag. Remember that picture his agent posted on Twitter in the bubble? That happened unironically. Vegas still has that conscience gnawing away at them. Sure, you may have lost your house, every personal belonging you have, and are on the brink of bankruptcy, but think of where you are. You have to keep going all in. Glories are just within your reach. All you have to do is take it. I know there's an expectation to do everything you can for a cup, but what Vegas is doing is asinine. An all-in push is one thing, but they keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Do you see how insane this is? Constantly trading away the future and prospects is only validated with a cup win. And the Knights haven't come close since their first year. But the star chasing will continue. Like a groupie trying to meet with her idol, Vegas continually goes for the likes of Evgeny Dodonov. Nah, just kidding with you, they went for Jack Eichel. Once again, Jack Eichels don't grow on trees. It may have cost them a few of their last drops of future capital and Alex Tuck, but Eichel is the future. Right after he gets neck surgery. Another huge gamble and shakeup of the core merely for the sake of doing so. This team was devised to circumvent the cap, hopefully have everyone come back healthy for the playoffs and then push for a cup again. But what happens if they don't make it there? The sins of the past came back to haunt Vegas in 2022. Injuries and inconsistency had destroyed them from within. Trading away nearly every pick and prospect they had robbed them of any sort of organizational depth. Cap space came at a premium. Their almighty deity became the LTIR. It still wouldn't be enough. Any attempts to try and gain more flexibility would be met with hostility, or more attempts to fuck over players like Evgeny Dodonov. Tried to pull a fast one on him with a team on his limited no-trade clause. Vegas tried to play dumb and blame Ottawa, but they knew what they were doing. The NHL itself called bullshit and voided the trade. Another calloused wound. They had lost around 500 man games this past year, yet nobody in the NHL world felt sympathy for their plight. Vegas had become a monster, and it was their own damn fault. Cancer hasn't infested one part of them, it's spread throughout the entire fucking organization. From the coaching, to the players, to the executives, to the ownership, to the fan base itself. Any player not deemed worthy of the crest is shit on from up high. It happened with Lehner. He wasn't Marc-Andre, and fans went after him so aggressively that he shut down all social media. Not to mention the team stabbing him in the back with an injury that needed surgery. He went from being reported as a season-ending injury to playing again at least 3 separate times. He was publicly criticized by his coach for letting the team down, even though they had failed to reach their potential by the time push came to shove. It was a historic season. They missed the playoffs. And while executives will blame injuries for their misfortune, that's a cop-out. This failure was years in the making. They had abandoned their core plan for the shiny objects in front of them. Honestly, if they had bowed out against Los Angeles or San Jose in the 2017 playoffs, I don't believe they'd go as balls to the wall in their methods. But making the cup in their first year created an addict. Someone who craves the thrill of winning the jackpot again while not having the experience to ground themselves in reality nor the mental fortitude to handle it. Now Vegas has locked themselves into a major predicament. They must win. It's the only way anything they've done is justified. Time isn't up, but it may be running short. They're already over the cap for next season, but I could see them once again panicking and chucking long-term pieces under a bus for newer, sexier items. I know there will be many that say that Vegas has had the most successful run of any expansion franchise in sports history, but the reality is that none of it matters without a championship. The Bills made 4 straight Super Bowls in the early 90s. Do you know how history judges them? As failures. Despite their runs, they could never seal the deal. History only cares for winners, not second best. If the inaugural cup run was the curse I'm fearing it is, Vegas has been extremely poor in handling it. In 5 years' time, they've gone from a beloved underdog story to one of the most hated teams in the league. Ironically, they've transformed into Las Vegas itself. A den of sin, gambling, cutthroat politics, flash, and pizzazz. People see right through it, and they cheer for their demise. This is the torture of the Golden Knights. A torture of their own doing. And they'll go for it all until they have nothing left. It's what addiction does. The NHL proudly presents Great Moments in Vegas Golden Knights History. June 22nd, 2016. The Vegas Golden Knights are given the blessing of the NHL to start operations. Hockey in the desert, this will totally go well. The 2017 expansion draft. Vegas selects their inaugural team. Everyone hates it and thinks they'll be bottom feeders. Marc-Andre Fleury probably to die. Considering history, they're probably right. 2018. Vegas forces everyone and their mother to eat all the shit in the world. They advance to the finals in their first year. They even win a game. St. Louis collapses like they did when the Rams moved. 2018 Cup Finals. The Golden Knights prevent us from glorious laughter and lose to the Capitals. Many are angry at them for not reinforcing Washington's failure. The golf course is their reward. Eternal shame for this deceit. September 10th, 2018. Tomas Tatar has been a bust of an acquisition. They need to set the blueprint for what they will do in the future. Acquire a bigger piece in Max Pacioretty from Montreal. To entice them, Vegas will add one of their top prospects in Nick Suzuki. Oh no, you made a bad trade. Welcome to the NHL. 2019. The Vegas Golden Knights are gearing for another cup run with a 3-1 series lead against San Jose. If you thought there would be a happy ending here, then you'd be hilariously wrong. They lose games 5 and 6 to the Sharks with a meetup in San Jose for Game 7. They're up 3-0. You'd think they'd not touch anything to ruin the mojo, but then they kill Joe Pavelski. A 5-minute major for total idiocy. 4 power play goals in 4 minutes. The hockey world rejoices. The players bitch up a storm about everything except the real issue, which is their total failure. January 15th, 2020. Vegas sneezed in a few games. A good excuse to fire inaugural coach Gerard Gallant. The replacement, Peter DeBoer. Looks like you aren't winning anything anytime soon. 2020. It not only appears the world shut down, but Vegas' offense did as well against Dallas. They spent more time talking shit and chirping than they did adapting to the Stars' play style. This sounds like quite the trend we're seeing. October 12th, 2020. Instead of a franchise enema, the Knights doubled down by signing Alex Pietrangelo to a big contract for reasons. The main core bitches up a storm. If only they had a pimp hand. June 19th, 2021. Marc-Andre Fleury ascends to memedom again. He pulled the Ty Conklin. You sure you want him back, Pittsburgh? And now 2021. Much joy is had. The Golden Knights are forced to die on a roulette wheel to a vastly inferior Montreal Canadiens team. Vegas has become just like their strip, bloated and soulless. Montreal used their hard work, heart, and vigor to expose and flummox the team. All the horsepower and brand recognition in the world, and they got smoked by a Suzuki. Their top scoring forward in this series was Nicolas Waugh. Nicolas Waugh. Hilarious. Vegas' fanbase blames Robin Lehner again instead of the meme goalie that made the most pivotal fuck-up in a decade. The only thing more cringeworthy than your performances is the person who runs your Twitter account. I fully expect you to both learn absolutely nothing and purge everything that breathes in the offseason. The hockey world celebrates your demise. We look forward to more of your failure in the future. Thank you for watching. This has been Great Moments in Vegas Golden Knights history.
And there you go! The Vegas Golden Knights!
To you from the economic wasteland that once was Las Vegas, we proudly introduce Chirping with the Vegas Golden Knights. The Marchessault says,
Shut the fuck up, little dick, and go suck on your mummy's titties and stop wasting my time.
The Reeves says, The Knights player says,
That's what you get. Serves you right, you fat fuck.
The Knights bench says,
What? Are you fucking kidding me? Completely clean here. Way to put your head back. Fucking Patrick Maroon. So fucking fat.
The player agent says,
Starting drama. Me? I only care for my player starting.
The Lehner says,
Wait, I didn't sign a contract. Where the hell are you reporting it?
The fan says,
This is all Robin Lehner's fault. Fuck that guy. If we started Fleury, he would have allowed 0 goals. Fire DeBoer!
The DeBoer says,
The Vancouver series against Demko probably rattled our confidence a bit in that area.
The Dallas Stars say,
Pass across for Radulov to the right circle, moves it and shoots. He scores! 31 seconds into overtime.
The shitposter says,
This is karma. Straight karma. Use like the gods, they will cut you down. Get fucking humble. Chirp some more, you entitled shits.
One-timer.